Bonjour à toutes et à tous les amis et bienvenue sur la chaîne YouTube de So Catch by Al. J'espère que vous allez bien. Aujourd'hui, nouvelle interview avec Axel, the Axeman, Tischer.
Bonjour, ça va?
Oh, bonjour, ça va? I didn't ask how you're doing yet. Bonjour Axel, comment ça va?
I'm doing great. I'm at this time of recording. I'm the world championship champion of the world in France.
Oh, yes,
So I consider myself now the king of France, just to mess with people. And,
Axel the first?
Axel the first, of course. Axel the great.
Axel the
Yeah, I'm very proud of myself. So, but I had a little bit of help yesterday by a very well-spoken person right here, who is the mighty language of a very well-educated French person who introduced my own. So he kind of like made it everything more possible. So yesterday, right?
It's a team effort.
Yeah, of course.
Good. My first question is, before going to WWE, you were used to work a lot for WXW, which is like the biggest promotion in Germany.
Yeah.
What is the most valuable lesson you learned while working there?
It's probably consistency is key. So I remember when I started WXW, I just built it up a little bit of a name in the German wrestling scene because I performed in some other promotions as well in that time, and the fan base was like connected. Okay. So when I had my debut at WXW was 2009 in May, because Tommy End was injured, so I replaced him and teamed with Zack Sabre Jr. against it's a funny fact, because like a lot of guys from the past are now somewhere else and are very successful. So me and Zack Sabre Jr., they called it the Axeman, because the Axeman and Zack Sabre Jr. Funny. Yeah. So me and Zack Sabre Jr. against the Mark Haskins and Joel Redman, against Shaw Samuels and Walter. So that was a triple threat tag team match, and that was my first match at WXW. And then after a while, I just established myself as a fixed part of that roster. And then we used to tour a lot. So I took a lot from matches against international talents, Japanese talents from the United Kingdom, from the United States, etc., etc. And we mixed it up with them. We rubbed shoulders with the top superstar of the independent scene that time. So, and then we took that on and we toured through Germany. So WXW was actually the first promotion after the good old times in Germany, where we took the promotion out of their home base, which is Oberhausen, and went, for example, to my hometown, Dresden, which is the opposite part of the country, east. We went to Hamburg, we went once or twice to Berlin, and we toured around bigger shows, smaller shows, and the consistent work rate on that was really key, because you learned how to work in different environments, in front of different crowds. So that helped me also a lot. There was also a big part with me moving to America and starting my journey with WWE, just to have the work rate on there so I could go from day one.
Okay, understood. You talked about WWE. You signed there in 2015. Yeah. What did it mean to you to be the first German wrestler to return to WWE?
It meant a lot for me. So there was one German wrestler before me, his name was Prakos, and he was not really signed. He had a contract, or he had an agreement in 1995. It was for a couple months, so technically I'm not the first German in WWE, but I consider myself the first German signed on a multi-year contract, and also the first German who joined the development system in NXT, in WWE, and also the first German who was basically on a television program. So for me, it meant a lot. It's one of the accolades. It's the first time ever is always sometimes what is used so much, hey, I'm the first time in the building today, or for whatever. But that's actually something I'm really proud of, because all the work I put in myself, and all the work other people put in myself, because they like, you have to trust somebody that you teach him so well that he finally will succeed, because otherwise it's a waste of energy, waste of time in that case. So I could like achieve something where I'm very proud of, and I guess my trainers and like all the guys who supported me also very proud of.
Okay. When SAnitY was created, your entry was very impressive and immediately drew attention.
Yeah.
How important is it in wrestling to have an original entrance?
It's very important, because you do not want to become a cookie cutter. So if people don't know that term, cookie cutter means you one of 1,000, you one of the, like same. Yeah. So, and it was very important. It was a process for sure, and the idea came directly from Triple H. So it got pushed to the moon, because if the boss wants to, wants to make it work, it will work for sure. But also it worked because of the talent being in there. Eric Young, Nikki Cross, the beginning, Sir Fulton was a very asset part of that as well, because I teamed with him a lot, and the team dynamic was nice. He got injured, and then Big Damo joined. So we replaced an awesome guy with a guy who's also awesome, but also has long year experience in professional wrestling. He toured indie markets, etc., and he's a very strong person, like literally a strong person, but also like his personality is very violent. He's awesome dude, like one of my best friends. So the percentage of SAnitY was also very, very important, and as soon as we debuted, as soon as we had our like bigger appearances, take over a crowd and stuff like this, everybody loved it, and it's definitely a shame that it crashed and burned like it did.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of SAnitY. You won the NXT Tag Team Championships, and then you moved to SmackDown a little bit later after that. How do you feel about never winning the SmackDown Tag Team Championship at the time?
I think it bothered me more that we moved up to SmackDown without Nikki Cross. So that was the first death blow, I believe. Because if you have a unit like that, a unique unit like that, who works like a clockwork, and you destroy that, it's not good. And there's a saying, never change a winning team. And we were Tag Team of the Year, people loved us. And like, especially in occasions where people haven't seen it. Seen it means haven't seen it on TVs, because we toured through the States, and we toured through the world basically, where when we at the shows and fans waiting for us, like in general waiting for the roster when we arrive with the buses and everything, waiting for us, and you see the appreciation of the fans, you hear the reaction at the non-taped shows, the house shows. It was a special deal. And then when we got the call up, we got brought into office, Triple H and Shawn Michaels being there, and the camera, of course, and they tell us, hey, you guys get promoted, you get the call up to SmackDown, but without Nikki. And there was this first, like, got promoted to SmackDown. Yes, that's the dream of everybody.
Without Nikki.
Boom, here we go, big money contract without Nikki. What the fuck? Like, sorry for cussing, but like that was the general reaction of like, oh, are you kidding me? Oh no. And that was killed the enjoyment of it. Of course, like you want to do this, and very happy. But then it was this cheap shot of like, you split us off. Yeah. Why? Yeah, because, and you knew because why. So, and it was probably so no, but the reason was explained that they needed a vital and a really like good figure in the women's division at that time, because a lot of the top girls got called up as well. So they needed somebody like Nikki, who's also an awesome wrestler, awesome performer. So just to create like a credibility around the women's division that time, because Hannah needed to bring some other girls up as well. So in that case, it sucked. But also I would love, like, even if we just got split up on SmackDown, I would love to have at least like the chance to go towards those titles, the chance to maybe become one of the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. So it's like titles and here and there, right? Wrestling and everything. But I think if you work in a company, in general, if you work in a company and the promoter, the company puts the trust in you and puts the title on you, that means a lot. And that's the actual legit success in professional wrestling.
Okay. You talked about it, the call up to the main roster, to SmackDown. In the past, it was like a news on the internet and shared like talks of people, wrestler being called up to main roster, being wasted talent.
Yeah.
That was the general idea coming from, oh no, this guy is moving from NXT to the main roster,
Yeah.
fuck.
Never ruin him, yeah.
Was it also a feeling shared within the NXT locker room?
Some of them, I remember some of the guys said, if I get the call up, I will refuse. So I remember, for example, best example was Ciampa and Gargano, because they've been Triple H and Hunter's guys for sure, and they've been both awesome wrestlers. So they did a lot for the NXT locker room for sure. They did a lot for a lot of talents, and it was also always a place to work with them because they are good, they're excellent. In that case, a lot of people were kind of afraid of getting a call up, and that was like spread out also through the office, that they say, guys, what the hell? I mean, like, guys, like, I don't care about the money. I want to stay here because the atmosphere is great. And they told us as well, like, hey, you will miss NXT. Yeah, for sure. Like, well, so, but it was not that we missed NXT, because you have to understand, and a lot of people don't, that if you go from high school or college up to the actually working, so you're more responsible for your own, but you have more freedom. The only thing you have to do is you have to be reliable, you have to be on time at the venues, you have to be prepared, you have to be a full professional. In NXT, they help you with that a little bit more. Okay. So you tour together. Of course, you have to be on time as well, but you tour together in the bus. They book for you the hotels. They take care of the food, etc., etc. So it's awesome. Main roster, they take care of your flight. You have to take care of your rental car. You have to take care of your accommodations. You have to take care to be on time at the venue. And if something happens, you have to make sure that somebody knows that I cannot be on time because X, Y, Z. So you're more in an adult life. But that's also why you make more money. You on a bigger TV product. You on a live TV schedule. You work at the live TV program. NXT, everything was taped in that time. Now it's live as well. But it's a different kind of schedule. So let's say it's college, and the other thing, it's more like the
adult life, with more responsibilities.
But and also different things, right? Also the product was different. So a lot of people, let's use SAnitY for an example, worked on NXT like a charm. NXT was a little bit more the niche product for the hardcore wrestling fans, for the ones who love wrestling, who love more like the edgy stuff, love like the technical, detailed wrestling stuff. So that's why TakeOver's always been a success, because they say first match should come back with the attitude, follow that mother efforts, and should make it hard for the main event, so the main event has to step up. I know for a fact a good wrestling show has a build up towards the main event, and all the other just do their spots, do their works, but in the end, the mentality is everybody's here for the main event. Okay. So nowadays, it's not like this. And that's good for a certain point, but on the other point is stuff that worked in NXT probably didn't work as much in front of the main roster audience. And it's all about the people. It should be all about the people, because they come to the venue and pay their hard-earned money for the ticket. They want to see what they want to see. And if you present them somebody who's an awesome wrestler but is not charismatic as the wrestler who's not an awesome wrestler but he's more an entertainer, you do something wrong. So I wouldn't say that, for example, on purpose, Vince McMahon says, F you, Triple H, right, my son-in-law, I will destroy what you build up. But I think it's the part of, it didn't work as much as in NXT, because the brighter view of it is not so marketable as for the smaller view. Okay. But also, Finn Balor, for example, he got the call up, first Universal Champion, and he's always on every show, and he's always presented. He's not always presented as the main guy like he was in NXT, but he's always on the shows. The same as with Shinsuke Nakamura, for example. He's not presented as the king of strong style in New Japan or NXT, but he also always was presented at the shows. He was on TV, he was on the house shows, so he had a pretty good schedule with that. So, but some people come up there and they flop, and some people come up there, they work out, and some people come up there and they work not as much as out in NXT then. So it's always like the bad things like overshadow everything else. So
Understood. Do you have any regrets about SAnitY?
No, nothing at all. Like the only regret, in general, I learned to have no regrets because you cannot change it. The only thing what you do with regrets, you waste time on thinking about the past and not focus on the future. But like any regret to SAnitY, not whatsoever, because I learned so much in that time. I learned just not to be only a technical, smooth and crisp professional wrestler. I learned to create a character. I learned to get into a mindset of myself, which is deep in myself, but it's kind of like super turned up to 11. So just, okay, the role was, there's a movie, Smoking Aces. In that movie, there you have the Tremor Brothers. As one of those assassins, one of those killers, you kind of like, you pay to kill a person, but they will not do it clean and silent. They go in and guns blazing and knife throwing and just, coming out even more destroyed. I don't know, like just, hey, let's kill this dude, grenade in and just make sure after the thing exploded, we stabbed this guy with a knife. Stuff like completely maniacs. And they're beating each other up and just being like portrayed as those redneck, bumfuck, neo-Nazi, punk guys, whatever. So, and Triple H liked these characters and said, I want to have that. And okay, let's do this. And then later the name SAnitY, etc., etc. And we had the creative liberty of like, this is the path I want you to have. However, you decide if you walk, run, drive, I don't know. So that's the creative freedom. For me, okay, what can I do with the character? I need to be a psychopath, but I cannot be like this psychopath like everybody else. So what can I create? So I took bits and pieces from my favorite psychopath or like mannerisms I have deep in myself, which is like, I'm a little bit of a control freak. I'm a little bit like sometimes an odd person where I need to have my order in it. And if this order gets out of place, it bothers me. So let's find this place where it bothers me so much that I could turn it into a psychopath. And then also in the way of like, what do I like? What is my hobbies? I don't know. What people think, that's weird. Okay. So I like hardcore music. I'm a mosh kid. So I like to go on concerts, go vine and dancing, punching the air, whatever somebody, it's like sometimes you go in there, you dance, but you come back with a bloody nose. So that's the thing what I like, because it's like also good cardio training, but like the music, I like the aggression of it, but like the motto is like angry music for happy people. But if you see that, you think, those guys are fucking nuts. Why they do that? They hit each other? What they do? No, actually not, but it looks like, you're crazy. So I use that in the character because people thought he's possessed. Okay, cool. It sticks. So what else? Like, what is the tick? Do this, do this. What is the character like? So I always, when I watch a movie, I see somebody, the way he talks, the way he acts, the way he looks, the way he, maybe his hand gestures and everything. So, sorry. I took bits and pieces out of that and just put it all in this SAnitY Alexander Wolfe character. Okay. And then what sticks, so, and it was like, yeah, it was good times. So I had a lot of joy with that.
Who was behind the idea of splitting SAnitY?
I think it was a production choice. So I think it was so what they told us was, and I think it's still the same, and I hear Shawn Michaels always talking about that in interviews recently, that he is not in control for the call-ups. The production up there in the main roster is in control of it. So creative, list of superstars, plus list of superstars from developmental, third brand, whatever you want to call it, NXT. This and this guy has this reputation, this character, blah, 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 what could fit in storyline for main roster. List of guys, can we have them? Are they ready? Question to development, NXT. Yeah, you can have him. So what I know, what they told us was, there was a list from some guys they want to have for the main roster. One of them was Andrade, I think Iconics, some other guys or girls, and it was us, but it was specifically asked just for the three dudes, Eric, Killian Dane, and Alexander Wolfe, myself, not Nikki. And I guess there was a discussion, why not Nikki? Yeah, And I get the point of, it's difficult for creative because it's easy to say, it's fucked up and it sucks. And I'm a big believer of, if you want to do something, you can put creativity up front and try to work it out.
To make it work.
Everything. Like if you have any stupid idea in wrestling, you find a way. I'm not saying it's maybe that the solution will be the best solution or the best way, but you find a way for sure. But it's always a hustle because it's hard to book, and that's also other part. If you're stable, and if you have a stable who's like equal strong, if you have a stable where one guy is the strongest and the other guy is just enhancement, like still a stable, but right. With SAnitY was the problem of we have one female member of it, so you're not allowed to hit her, you're not allowed to approach her because that is the wrong sign you want to create for the people, right? So approach a girl and just be aggressive approaching her, or just hitting a girl, or whatever. That's a barrier they did not want to cross with Nikki Cross. No pun intended. But in that case, it's more a clusterfuck of thinking, what could we do to not ruin them completely? What can we do to protect them? So it's easier to have 3 dudes up there and not thinking about what could we do with her. Because I remember it was kind of a hustle, but also a fun hustle in NXT, where we used Nikki as the elevation, or like the advantage point for us, that she attacks a guy or distracts a guy, which leads into the finish. So for the heel group, or like as a fun spot, if you see TakeOver Brooklyn 3, where we won the tag team title, she jumped on one guy's back, and Killian Damo, he crossbodied that guy together with Nikki through the table. Like, the reaction for that was so huge because nobody has seen it coming. Because obviously there's women, they will not do anything. Wait, there's the table, bang,
they're doing
wow. So I think that was one of the reasons also, and yeah.
Are you grateful to Triple H for saving SAnitY members from release?
Yeah, of course. I'm grateful in general for having a great time in WWE. I'm grateful for Triple H, who been Papa H and taking care of like the talents and just always be approachable and always be great. When he had the time, of course, he's very busy, so you cannot expect to go, hey, Paul, what's up, man? Just come over here. I want to talk with you. No, you have to. Hey, you have a minute? Cool. And if you have a minute, you had more than 1 minute. I'm grateful for Sean and all the other coaches at Performance Center who taught everybody well, and who taught everybody like the ins and outs of like how to become successful, and especially like guys like Sean, who've just been so great to talents and take off a little bit the ship on their shoulder and just, you know, guiding them away from the eggshells you walk on a place like this, which is normal. It's not saying that sucks. It's the environment. That's what it is. You have to be aware of that. And he was one of the guys who told us, hey, all good, just do what you're gonna do and it will be fine. And if not, I will tell you, and then we see what works out and what's not. So he was very good with that. And I'm grateful for WWE in general, because it's a great company and they take care of you no matter what. Like bad media, bad publicity, blah blah blah. WWE is the worst. Yeah, it's corporate business. Corporate does corporate stuff, but the employers, everybody was, you know, they took care of us. Everybody was
kind,
well paid, and everybody was like kind. You had one issue, they took care of you. Even like for private stuff, like if you want to be more educated about anything, language, financial stuff, they took care of you. You ask for it, you get it. You don't ask for it, they don't be bothered to help you, but you have to communicate. Talent relation was to a certain degree always good. Here and there, some people, not want to name them, have been fucking assholes, and there's a time where I was very, let's say, almost about to grab somebody fast in the face. But that's a personal issue. It's not a company issue. But yeah, I'm in general, like I'm grateful for my time.
Okay. After SAnitY, you moved to another group, Imperium. Mm-hmm. I have a burning question. You think Imperium is a cheap copy of Ring Camp?
Nah, no. I think it's the same, but it's not the same. So for those who know Ring Camp, this brand got created in 2015 before I moved to the States, or during I moved to the States. The decision was made of like, hey, let's do something together. We is Walter, but most before Walter. Walter was one of us, and we means it was now Ludwig Kaiser, Marcel Bartel, or at that time Axel Tischer Jr., myself, and Walter. So it was because we kind of had the same attitude of like how we treat the business, how we treat the wrestling topic in general, like always 100%, honor the legacy of it and just take it serious and just train hard and just be serious about what you do. Don't try to be a buffoon, don't do cheap cuts and stuff like this. Just be really as best as possible in the ring and just, be proud of what you're doing and just show them how it's getting done, right? So in that case, the mat is sacred. The major part is that from Marcel's father, Ludwig Kaiser's father, Axel Tischer Senior, he was the first world champion after World War II, German world champion after World War II. He has an amazing story about during World War II, he fled the country, joined the French legionnaire just to fight the Nazis and everything, and then just after the war came back to Germany and became this very successful wrestler and wrestled against guys like Bret Hart in his youth and stuff like this, and just been very assets for this country for professional wrestling, wealth of knowledge. And he brought Marcel, so Ludwig, always to the tent shows, and he was around the David Finlays and the Wayne Regals and all the great wrestlers from the good old times in Germany, and he grew up with it. So the background of all that is his legacy from his father. The mat is sacred, die Matte ist heilig. And from there on, so I'm, for example, was never too much into the old school wrestling scene from Germany. I was a blend WWE, WWF wrestling fan, but I grew up with wrestling and I loved it so much. And then I found my place towards more martial arts, MMA, jiu-jitsu. So that's why I go back to the fundamentals of wrestling with catch wrestling. So then because I'm a lunatic. If I like something, I'm really just dive my head into it, just with the head through the wall, and just want to learn everything. And then Walter, of course, he's from Austria. So Austria was one of the countries who also had this rich culture about professional wrestling, Heumarkt, etc., all the tournaments, Ottomans, where all international superstars, even now Hall of Famers, just traveled to Germany or to Austria and just wrestled there for weeks and tours. So that brought us together. We created Ringkampf. I moved to the States. We wanted to have a brand, a clothing brand, like Suplex, for example. And then they took that into a story from WXW, and then it got back up. It was funny though, because I was against it, because I thought if you want to do a clothes brand, we should not associate it with wrestling. Then they did it, because I think I was the only guy from four guys who was, I think it's not a good idea, but hey, if you guys want to do it, let's do it. It always was nice communication. So then they did it and it took off. So I was totally wrong. So, okay, cool. So let's Walter and Axel Tischer Jr., Marcel Bartel, Ludwig Kaiser, and then Timothy Thatcher came in.
Yeah.
And Thatcher is the perfect wrestler for Ringkampf, for Imperium and everything, because this guy is the man. He's such a gentleman, he's such a nice guy, he's such an athlete, and he's such a professional wrestler. He is the epitome of a professional wrestler, a catch wrestler, if you will say. And he came up with a pose. But he's also, hey guys, let's do this. No, it was his mannerism. He stood like this, and then they that's cool, and everybody stood like this. So that's why the Ringkampf pose, the Imperium pose, was created. And I was in SAnitY in that time. I was making my way over there and just had that thing to do and whatever. So just to fast forward, Marcel got hired by WWE, and he stood his character in WWE. He was that guy, the Ringkampf guy, the Imperium guy. So that was his shtick, and he had it down like nobody else. That was really, really good. Then in that time, he was more working on the house shows in NXT. Then NXT UK came up, and NXT UK, he got put together with Fabian Eichner, with Vinci. So, and later Walter joined the group, or the brand, with NXT UK. So now they put those together, and meanwhile, I got I'd say promoted, not depromoted, but I got transitioned over from SmackDown to NXT UK because Hunter said, hey, I do not want you guys sitting catering, being frustrated and sooner or later getting released, doing nothing, getting released. So I will split you guys up. You, SAnitY, EY goes to Raw because he wants to stay here. Demo goes back to NXT America. You go to NXT UK. So, okay, what I'm doing there. I was super excited because that saved my wrestling passion, my career as well, because I was not in a good mood. And then said, yeah, put you with you guys together. Oh, what do you mean? Yeah, like Fabian and Marcel, they would join Walter in one taping, and then the next taping, you will join them. And you 4 guys together. I need a good group who can put NXT UK on the map, who is like the bad guy group, the most dominant group, etc., etc. And all like the other guys have to fight you. And then we have always a good product. So Walter as the leader guy, Fabian Marcel as the tag team guy, and I was kind of like the extra singles guy who could be adjust to a 6-man tag. I had a chance to finally do singles matches to showcase my abilities, what I can put on the table. And yeah, Imperium was created and it was a success story for real.
Okay. Despite appearing several times in NXT UK, it seems to me like you never officially were part of NXT UK.
No, because I was still under a SmackDown contract, which was nice.
You get paid higher.
Yeah, because I talked with them, like, you could put me back on an NXT contract and tell you, hey, we can do it, but like the budget is not meant so leave it on there, don't talk about it. Okay, cool, thank you. So I didn't talk about it, and it was nice for me. I lived at that time in America, so it was the necessary evil is stupid, but the necessary way, like, to leave it on there, because living in the States is way more expensive than living in Europe. But never had like an NXT Europe contract, but I got the benefits of, like, again, driving in a bus, don't have to take care of my hotel. And it was nice though, because the schedule was really good. You could kind of like heal up your wounds a little bit. So I was at home for 4 weeks and just did my trainings routine, my normal schedule. Sometimes I went up to the Performance Center. I lived in Miami at that time, so I drove up to Orlando. Then I moved back to Orlando, and I was for 1 or 2 weeks in London. So I flew over from America to London. We had 1 week of training schedule in the Performance Center, 2 days of tapings. Then I went back. Had time, like, actually my son grew up with me present, besides those weeks just being in England. So that was pretty nice. So I'm very grateful about that as well.
Did you want it like to be permanently part of NXT UK at some point? Because maybe you could say, okay, I'm going back to Germany and
that's very
it's going to be easier
question.
to see my family, my friends, and blah, blah,
I do
blah.
not know if we have talked about that before. And if not, that's a very, very, very nice and good question. So the plan for me was moving back part-time to Germany, because me and my wife and my son, we visit Germany, Dresden, Germany, for Christmas holidays, and waited for the next year over there as well, like New Year's Eve. And a buddy of mine, he moved together with his girl, and he still had his apartment. So he said, hey, you can live in the apartment easy. So we had an own apartment, and we kind of like got back into living like Germany. And we thought, oh, that's pretty nice. Groceries are less expensive, right? They're very cheap, and the quality is way better. Way of life is way better in Europe. Like in that case, in Germany than in the States. And we just, hey, I mean, we have the money just to afford that. We could just rent an apartment, and small, decent apartment where we just have everything what you need, right? Not a big house, not everything, just a simple apartment. Rent is cheaper than in the States. Just a comparison, you would get a 2-bedroom apartment. So you have the kitchen, you have the living room, you would have the bedroom, you would have an extra room, you have a bathroom for around 600, 700 euros in that time, not anymore. So comparison, there's, let's say 600 euros, right? You would pay at least $1,500 over in the States for that, for a minor one, for a not good quality, not good area one. So that was the comparison. And we said, yeah, we don't spend that much money for groceries as in the States. So like it turns out it would be affordable. So we did that, and then I figured out, hey, actually, if I do NXT UK, they fly me in from Germany to England, which is less the cost for WWE and it's less the way for me. So easy, let's do that. Then the pandemic hit. So at that time we decided just to do, okay, winter times in Germany is not nice. Europe in general, I hate cold weather. Let's go to Florida because it's sunshine.
Always out. Yeah.
Sun time or summertime and in Florida is the worst.
Yeah.
Hurricane season, it rains, it's hot as hell. Unbelievable. Let's go to Europe. Let's go to summertime in Germany because it's very nice. So best of both worlds. And it would be easy. Like with my son, he does not need to go to kindergarten, etc., etc. He was not like connected to any thing. So let's do that. And then we decided to have it. We had in February 2020. We had the apartment. We made everything clear. I talked with WWE. Yada yada yada. And then eventually March hit, pandemic hit. I remember they flew all European talents they would need for Mania weekend over to the States. And I was there by myself. And then they told, hey, WrestleMania is canceled. What? Oh, no, really? Yeah, no, everything else is also canceled. Okay, so, but it's not 100% the decision yet. It was the decision, but they kind of like, what if we could, get something in there? So then the other case was, okay, all the borders get closed soon. So I was by myself in the States, my family, my 2 or 1 year old son, 1 year old son, with my wife in Germany. And you did not know what's going on. Oh, there's a pandemic, there's a fucking killer virus, whatever. It's like, oh no, I want to go back to Germany. Yeah, no problem, go back. Then I was landlocked in Germany until October 2020. So I had like flying over, let's see what's going on, etc., just wait it out. And then we flew back in October 2020 just to move out of the house in Miami, move back to Orlando, Florida, move in a house there and just get settled and just, see what's going on.
Whoa, what a story. Like the baddest timing ever.
Yeah, also the baddest timing ever because all like the stuff, what was planned, what was going on, like eventually the plan, and I think right now I can say it without getting in trouble. Like the plan was just to split me off Imperium because Damo and Eric Young would go to NXT UK, win the NXT UK tag team titles, and then eventually would feud with Marcel and Fabian for the titles because they were #1 contender. And I did some decisions in Imperium which made Walter not that much happy. Losing against Finn Balor, challenging him for that, and losing something else, and eventually having the glimpse of, oh, some old friends over here, and they would sense it and would kind of, oh, he's the weakling, let's drop him out. They would drop me out, they would challenge them, they would beat them down 3 against 2. I would join SAnitY, and they would have Imperium against SAnitY in NXT UK, and then they would put SAnitY back to NXT US. And then eventually, so that was the entire plan for. So I remember one of my last matches before the pandemic was actually a singles match against Finn Balor. So, yeah, would be nice.
Okay, this is wrestling, like opportunities and miss.
Never say never, and everything is possible. Like it's the weirdest business of them all, for sure.
How did you react when you were released? I think it was in May 2021.
Yeah, they called me. Like Tanner Relation, and like the guy I'm always spoke with, a very nice guy and very gentle guy. I had a good relationship with them. So it was, of course I was pissed. I was really pissed, to be honest, because nobody likes to get released. Nobody likes to get told, hey, we let you go. So we do not fire you technically, but your contract will run out and we'll not renew that because of budget cuts. And you hear like all the stuff with the revenue of WWE, etc., and you know what they try to do, especially nowadays more than before, like with selling WWE. And again, corporates do corporate things. So they release a bunch of talents, they are exposable, and they let you go just to make more revenue, just to tell them, hey, this is our growth. But I was pissed because in my mind, and I understand why they do it, this is a business decision. And I learned also for myself to never blame somebody else. There's a saying of, if you point a finger, 3 fingers point back to you. So you should always ask yourself, what why? First of all, why is that happen? Why is it happen to me? And then ask yourself, what could I have done better? So I was not in shape. I probably created some kind of an ego. I felt myself safe because I never had a discussion with my wife before. Hey, if I get released, whatever, because I do not think in that way. I was always like, hey, what do you think? Like next when the contract comes up, it's almost about down negotiation. I should get more, get a raise. I'm this and that. So I was a little bit full of myself, just to be honest, because I felt myself very safe because of my knowledge, my abilities, what I can put on the table, which I never could actually put on the table. And then some other factors like maybe communication, whatever. So again, like I should have been a different person in that case, I believe. And also like all the other factors, because if you look like the majority of the guys have been in shape and whatever, and I was a blob, not in shape. Like my ring cardio, my in-ring shape, I believe it's very good. But like my physical shape, it was not great. I did not look like a WWE superstar. So I think that was one of the key factors why they say he's exposable, let him go, right? But also like when they told me that, I was calm. I was not, you motherfuckers or whatever. So I told my 2 sentences in the way of like, oh, you let me go. There's some guys who not even can lace my boots in the ring. So I can do everything if you ask me to, if you give me the chance and you let me go, okay, it's up to you. So, but I understand it's a business. And I told the person, it's not your decision. You're just the guy who delivers the message. And I will not be the only guy today. So I'm sorry for you today. So, because you have to deal with all this bullshit. And I hope everybody is like respectful and calm as I was. But it sucked balls for real. Because then you have to think, all right, and that's a real sad moment. I was at outside talking. I finished the phone call, hung up. I went inside. The first thing is my son walks over, Daddy. Ah. So it was like, my wife looked at me and I looked at her and said, no, really? No, I didn't say one word. She just overheard the phone call outside. Didn't said one word to her about, and she said, no, fuck, no, really, you kidding me? No. And it was the downfall because the thought first is, oh my God, how we make a living right now? What are we doing? Like the money thing. And the best thing you can do in your life is do not care about money. Make sure you have enough, but do not care about money. Your life will be so much easier because money comes and goes. If you need money, you will get money. If you have money, you have money, and then you will lose money again, and you will get money again. It's a circle of life. If you too much care about that, and I learned that, you turn in circles, and you actually will not have enough. If you don't care about money, you will have enough. It's weird, but it's nice as well. So that being said, got released, was not good. Blah, blah, blah. But I had the plan B. Plan B was sort everything out for the what if moment. Because everything can happen, right?
This is wrestling, definitely.
Wrestling on top, boom, down the line, down spiral, you're released. What now? So, what now? Okay, we already have set up an apartment in Germany. So we said we have to move back because there's 1 month left on my visa until I have to leave the country. I could have stayed. I could have get me a lawyer who gets me a green card. Yada, yada, yada. It takes too much time, takes too much money. Hey, let's save all the money we have right now. Let's live really enough.
A minimum.
A minimum. Let's sell all the stuff in 1 month from the house. Entire household. It was like 1,600 square feet, something. It was a big house. A house which was too much for us. Because like you had a room with your guest bedroom, nobody was in there. Like, why? You don't need that shit. It's ridiculous. So if you're a little bit more minimalistic, you save more money and you will still have a decent life for sure. So moved out the house, sold everything, made a good, like being smart enough just to have here and there a little bit of saving, moved back to Germany, moved in a furnished house. Everything was fine. The only thing we had to deal with was like just registration and insurance again, yada, yada, yada. The typical stuff when you move into a different country or back to your home country. But my plan B was also, okay, here's my thing, what I want to do. Of course, the first thing was get in contact with your old folks. So WXW, GWF, I mean, like all like the promotions, right? use social media as, hey, this is me, I'm free that time, contact me, this is my, put up an email address, this is the booking, pro wrestling tees, merchandise here, there, all like the business aspect. And also the other thing for me was, I remember I went out on the evening with Marcel and Fabian, and then, because in that time, Marcel was working together with a friend of his, and a person I know also from the German wrestling scene, and he's an awesome fitness coach. And he, like Marcel's goal was, I want to get really ripped and lean. And right now he's ridiculous, ripped and lean, so best shape of them all, my opinion. I said, hey, you think you could help me as well? Yeah, just I get you in contact with him. You know him as well from the blah, blah, blah. I got in contact with him. He hooked me up with a meal plan. Like, this is what you eat. This is what you should not eat. This is the amount what you eat. Just follow this. That easy? Okay, cool. He made it like because I'm a vegan, so he made it like vegan food and everything. And a lot of on that meal plan was, I can eat that, really? Yeah, in that amount? Really? Awesome. So I followed that for a long time. I started 2021 in June. In June with 110 kilograms. And I had my lowest and my diet peak in April 2022 with 38 kilograms.
Whoa.
Like from the nutrition point, 35, 38 because I got the shits. So like I got sick, so you lose a lot of fluid from your body. But like, let's say 85, like really ripped and everything. And then you go into a reverse diet and figure out to build more muscles. You get a little bit more bulky. And then again, but he taught me everything what I need to know. He showed me like this and that. If you do not like potatoes, you can eat this, but only that amount. And so he educated me about that. So that was also one of my goals. And just in general, just to be smarter about decisions. Don't be that arrogant, and don't be that safe about yourself, because we all cook with water. That's my belief, and you should do not take anything for granted. If you get something, you should be grateful.
Powerful statement, I believe. My next question is, who did you enjoy the most working with in WWE?
Basically everybody where we could rub shoulders with, who were there for years. So when we NXT, like I said, like guys like Tommaso and Gargano, like Ciampa and Gargano. Of course, Undisputed Era, like awesome boys, like awesome to work with. We had so many loops with them where we had like 3 against 3, SAnitY against Undisputed Era, and they loved it. And on the other part, like the guys from the main roster. So SAnitY up there, and we worked with New Day Usos, Good Brothers. We worked a couple times with also like Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, like in situations, TVs, house shows. Basically everybody, because if you work on those shows, they teach you how to work on those shows. They teach you how to work. Oh, this audience wants to see more. Those audience wants to see, like, you can tell from hearing, and you learn that, or you share the locker room with John Cena, who's super approachable. Go to that guy, say, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. Can I ask you something? Can you watch my match? Like the typical thing you should do in wrestling. Oh, there's somebody who's successful, more experienced than me. Go and talk with that guy, connect, socialize, ask him, can you watch my match? Can you give him feedback afterwards? Because he sees things you don't know, points that out. Take more time with that. Hey, if they cheer, don't move because of, and everything, right? I said before, like the coaches Performance Center, there's the entire list, like Norman Smiley, you know him from, he's a hardcore buffoon, like the phony guy or WCW. No, he's actually, if not the best technical catch wrestling guys, because he was legit as well, like Englishman, just States, wrestle Mexico, etc., etc. Robbie Brookside, one of the best trainers ever. Like, he's amazing. Not only one of the best human beings ever, also one of the best trainers ever. Terry Taylor, territory experience. He's such a wealth of knowledge, like, and a funny guy. Matt Bloom, awesome guy who's like A-Train or Prince Albert, whatever he did in WWE. So he knows the system. He knows like from that time, how was it? Shawn Michaels, Fit Finlay, William Regal, Dave Taylor, etc., Scotty Too Hotty, etc., etc. Like so many good guys. So that is also where I'm really grateful just to learn from them, not only from the wrestlers, also from the staff.
Wow, very good. Last question of this interview. Let's imagine that time travels are possible. Mm-hmm. What is the piece of advice that the you from the now would tell to the you from the past?
A lot of advices, basically. It would be longer than this interview. No, I would say like, they always say always be prepared and always blah, blah, blah. But I think it's one of the major things is, and I tell this everybody, business is business and personal is personal. Never take anything in a business personal. Never. Because that's like, you should be able to do business with your best friends and to piss each other off, but after you speak business, you're again best friends with them. Because business is such a ugly thing sometimes, especially when it comes to money, yada, yada, yada. But you should never take anything personal. And I explain you why. A lot of times, jealousy overcomes you, and jealousy is not good. When jealousy overcomes you, you cannot think clear, and you're full of hate and whatever, like that stuff. And I remember a lot of people signed their contracts, and then when another guy came in with a bigger contract, and nobody speaks about money, but you hear like gossip is everywhere, especially like in the wrestling business, and you hear this guy makes more of you, and you say, why is he getting more than me? He's not better than me. No, he's better in making business. You know, you don't take it personal, right? So don't take it personal that he makes more money because he was smarter than you just to ask for it. Yeah. And if you don't ask, you don't get. So how about next time you negotiate about a contract, you tell the number you actually want to have, or you say, hey, this guy makes so much, I want to have the same. Okay, you ask for it. There's a reason why they say no or yes, but don't be like bummed out about this person. Also, don't be jealous. Because a business decision puts somebody in a position you would like to be in, but realize this position is not for you. Okay. So some people get called up, some people become champions, some people get a spot in a match. And I remember I was pissed to be not in the Rumble in 2019. I thought, I'm here, I can do that. Like even they get me in a minute, I take a nice bump outside. I can make somebody look good. No, I'm not in there. Fuck that. Like I was really like, And then I saw persons in there where I thought like, this motherfucker is in there? Are you kidding me? Not me? Like being like arrogant prick right there. And I hate myself right now just reflecting that. And then I saw this person coming in and I realized what the spot was for this guy. And then I told myself, oh, that's why he's in there. No, I don't want to do that. So the spot is not for you. Don't be jealous about that. And also, don't blame that person. Don't blame this person personally. It's a business decision. It's not his decision. It's the business decision, not his private decision. And that's a topic you can go on and on with different like situations. But that's one of the things I would tell. Like, there's a business decision. It's not personal.
Understood. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
It was like a very interesting interview. Like we learned so much about you, about WWE also, and what happened when you were there. So thank you very much. Dankeschön.
Dankeschön. Merci beaucoup.
Merci à tous les amis. Comme d'habitude, n'oubliez pas de liker, partager et vous abonner à la chaîne YouTube So Catch by Al. On se retrouve très bientôt sur YouTube. Des petits bisous pour tout le monde. À ciao ciao. Bye bye. Auf Wiedersehen.
Au revoir.